When you think about World War II, what comes to mind? Probably Normandy, Stalingrad, Pearl Harbor, right? But what if I told you there was another front? A massive, brutal conflict that raged for years, cost millions of lives, and totally reshaped the world we live in today. And yet for so many of us in the West, its story is barely a footnote. So today, let's dive into that story, the forgotten front that really did change everything. Just take a second and look at this number. 20 million. That's not a typo. That's the estimated number of Chinese casualties, military and civilian, in World War II. It's an absolutely staggering figure. We're talking about one of the deadliest, if not the deadliest, theaters of the entire war. So that leads to a huge question, right? If the scale of this was so immense, why is its story so rarely told, especially in the West? Well, to get to the bottom of that, we have to realize that China's war, it was just different. It was incredibly complex, and crucially, it started way before the rest of the world got pulled into the fight. Yeah, see, for years, this wasn't just another front in the war. It was the front. It was this lonely, brutal struggle that would eventually get swept up into the global conflict and completely change its course. Okay, so here's the key piece of context you gotta remember. The war in China kicks off in 1937. 1937! That's a full 2 years before Germany invaded Poland and the war in Europe began. So think about that. For 2 long, grueling years, China was fighting the massive Japanese empire pretty much all by itself. But here's where it gets even more complicated. The fight against Japan, that was only half the story. To really get what was going on in China, you have to understand that while they were fighting a foreign invader, the country was also literally at war with itself. So you basically had 2 Chinas. On one side, you've got the nationalists, the KMT, led by Chiang Kai-shek. Think of them as the official, internationally recognized government. They had a traditional army and their power base was in the cities. Then, on the other side, you've got Mao Zedong and his communists, the CCP. They were a totally different beast, an insurgent force based in the countryside, and they were masters of guerrilla tactics. We're talking about 2 completely opposite visions for China's future, and they were already locked in a vicious civil war before Japan even invaded. Now, when Japan invaded, these 2 enemies did form what they called a united front. But let's be real, it was an alliance in name only. It was shaky at best. Both sides were constantly playing 4D chess against each other, always trying to get an advantage. They were even holding back their best troops from fighting the Japanese so they could save them to fight each other later. You can imagine how much that crippled the overall war effort. So think about the situation. You're facing a modern, technologically superior army, and you're hopelessly divided internally. What do? Well, the Chinese government came up with a strategy that was as desperate as it was brutal. It was called trading space for time. The logic, while grim, was actually pretty straightforward. China is absolutely massive, right? So the idea was to intentionally give up territory, even major cities, and let the Japanese army push deeper and deeper into the country. The farther they went, the more stretched their supply lines would become, and they'd get bogged down in this endless war of attrition. The ultimate goal? Just hold on, survive, bleed the enemy dry, and buy enough time, hoping, praying that eventually the rest of the world would show up. And you can see just how this played out in reality. It was absolutely brutal. In 1937 alone, you see the fall of Shanghai after this incredibly bloody battle. Then, the capital city itself, Nanjing, is lost. The government has no choice but to flee, retreating hundreds and hundreds of miles deep inland to a new capital in Chongqing. I mean, they were literally giving up their biggest cities, their industrial heartland, their most valuable space. This idea, we will trade our space for time, it just perfectly captures the sheer, desperate determination of it all. It was basically a promise to soak up unimaginable losses, all for the faint hope that time was on their side. And for years, man, it really looked like that hope was completely in vain. But then, late 1941, the entire chessboard is about to get flipped upside down. What had been a regional, isolated war was about to become a centerpiece of a global war. China's lonely fight was about to end. And what was the moment that changed everything? Pearl Harbor. As soon as the bombs fell on Hawaii, the United States was in the war. And overnight, China's struggle went from being a regional conflict to a major front in World War II. After years of isolation, they finally had a powerful ally. And this changed everything for China's role in the war. First, they were officially recognized as one of the big four allied powers, right up there with the US, the UK, and the Soviet Union. Second, military and economic aid finally started to pour in. But maybe most important of all was this. China's continued resistance kept hundreds of thousands, some estimates say close to 1 million, Japanese troops tied down on the mainland. Those are troops that Japan couldn't send to fight the Americans in the Pacific. So China's sacrifice wasn't just heroic, it was absolutely crucial for the entire Allied war effort. So, fast forward to 1945. Japan surrenders. Victory. But this wasn't the triumphant, fresh start that everyone had been fighting for. The price of that victory was just unimaginably high. The aftermath was this brutal paradox. I mean, on the one hand, China was on the winning side. They were even given a permanent seat on the new UN Security Council, a huge deal. But on the other hand, the country was an economic wasteland. Its farms, its industries, all destroyed. Society was in chaos, with millions homeless and starving. And the most tragic part? The second the Japanese surrendered, that so-called United Front dissolved instantly, and the civil war between the nationalists and communists kicked off again. But this time, it was even more brutal than before. Those 8 long years of fighting Japan had just bled the nation dry. And here's the great irony. The war had exhausted and weakened the ruling nationalists, while at the same time it gave the communists the perfect cover to grow their support and expand their territory in the countryside. So in a way, winning the war against a foreign enemy just perfectly set the stage for the next, even more destructive civil war. And that's what we're left with, really. This massive, world-changing question. How did this 8-year nightmare of resistance not only defeat a foreign invader, but also pave the way for a communist revolution? The war wasn't an ending for China. It was a violent, fiery beginning. It was the crucible that destroyed the old China and forged the new one, the one that would emerge in 1949 and, of course, become the global power we know today.